Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight just came out 2 days ago on the 19th of May 2026. That is if you shelled out the slightly increased price to get 3 days early access, because it releases tomorrow on the 22nd. So yes, I have just gotten the platinum while the game is still in early access. I always finish fast, so this is not a surprise. No, but seriously, the new Lego Batman just dropped. I bought it, played through it all, and I got every single trophy, including the platinum trophy. It took me about 27 hours, but I bet this is a very solid 20 to 25 hour platinum game once some guides come out eventually. It holds 52 total trophies, including the platinum trophy, and without further ado, let us begin what I think is now the best Lego game that there is. Alright, so starting off with this game and the stages to get the platinum trophy, there really is only going to be two of them. First being to complete the main story while grabbing as many collectibles in the levels as you possibly can, and secondly, just being the trophy cleanup after the main story is completed. Now, like I just said, as you play the story, you should be trying to grab all the collectibles as you are playing it, because unlike other Lego games, they're all obtainable on a first go. And as you guys probably know, if you've ever platinumed a Lego game before, replaying the entire story is not always a fun time, but it happens very often, which is kind of funny. Also, shout out to the Lego video playlist I've made and that series from forever ago. I'm adding this game into that. But getting into the actual story of Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, it sort of goes from Bruce's very early childhood and then through his teen/young 20s and finally into him being full-on Gotham's savior, Batman. So the first level I had us playing as child Bruce, like I just said, and the premise is we are trying to gather little Bruce's movie costume for a movie the family is going to go watch. And this is actually a very, very fast level, as you could imagine. Once wading through a few locations of the garden, you then find the final item for his costume in a box, and you get the first trophy of the game called Beware the Grey Ghost from the story. However, after that, I guess we still needed a hat for Bruce, so you do have to go find that, and this all leads into the famous backstory lore into why Batman is called Batman. Because Bruce falls into a well and gets horribly scared by the bats down there, which is reasonable. Anyways, after that, it then leads into the famous scene where Bruce's parents are murdered so violently in the alleyway. Now, it then fast forwards to Bruce when he's older. Not Batman quite yet, but I mean, you get what I mean. And we see him trying to talk with Falcone, who is the game's first, big villain and also the guy that killed his parents, as far as I understand. But we are chasing after him now because he is running the crime circuit in Gotham still. Now, they don't let us in to talk to him, obviously, so we then teamed up with Jim Gordon and fight multiple waves of goons. All in all, though, this leads into a really nothing because we got the cold shoulder from a guy named Carmine. But while we were on our ass, quite literally, this homeless dude next to us by a fire just changed into a superhero looking guy all of a sudden, and he says his name is Ra's al Ghul, and he wants to recruit us to the League of Shadows, which is like a karate club group of people. If you read the comics of Batman, you know the lore. I'm not going to explain it. But then there is a montage of us climbing this tall mountain to get a blue flower and bring it to that homeless guy because that's the hazing ritual, I guess. During this, we also met some girl named Talia, who was one of the many main characters of this game. But this level just had us doing a plethora of puzzles to get up the mountain. Ultimately, at the top, there was a blue flower, and there also was a shop selling them all. Honestly, I respect the hustle. So we then brought the flowers to the guy. He then lets us in the League of Shadows. Also, we do learn that this guy is Talia's father, which is a little bit more lore, but it's not really a big deal overall. Anyways, the next strand of levels and encounters were all just us training to learn some more combat moves, get better at fighting, etc. This all started as a pretty cool way to see Bruce actually become Batman. I don't think any Batman game yet has gone through that kind of route, so yeah, very cool to see. TT Games really did step up the storytelling aspect this time around with the Lego games, and I love to see it personally. Anyways, after the training, we end up finding out that the League of Shadows is actually a bad thing. Yeah, they are evil, and they're plotting to take over the world. So the final mission here in this area had us and Talia foiling, or at least trying to foil their plans. There was quite a few boss fights against Ra's al Ghul, but all in all, the final one just ended with us winning and then the entire place blowing up, and us also being the only one to survive the blast. So, mission accomplished, I guess, and that also finished off the prologue with another trophy popping from the story. So we have now made it to the actual story of the game, and there was one more final little setup mission real fast before we actually do become Batman in Gotham. And during this, you and Alfred kind of just run through the courtyard again. Then we go down the well intentionally this time to reach the caves below Wayne Manor. And finally, we reach the Batcave, and we actually, made it into the Batcave. Bruce got swarmed with bats again, which ultimately led him into making the name, the suit, and the car, speeding off to stop crime right after. The first mission we played as Batman had us at the docks with Jim again. A large majority of the missions in this game do have us playing with Jim, by the way. It's actually very fun. But this one's premise was all about us chasing down a man named Flass who has info on Falcone's operation. So we chase him through this dock port with storage containers everywhere. Ultimately, we end up catching him and then having to hang him off a bridge to get a confession. And all we found out is that this guy's boss drives a purple car. So I guess we were looking for a gay guy. That sure makes it easy. After all was finished, I then got into the trophy after that level ended from unlocking Jim Gordon as a playable character. So the game then makes us do a few tutorial missions after because we now have, somewhat access to the open world of Gotham. And before we go any further, I gotta say, they absolutely nailed the vibe of Gotham in this game. Near the end of my playthrough when just getting collectibles in the city, it was more than cinematic, just flying around. I loved it. But enough of me getting excited in my pants over this absolutely peak LEGO game. The story then made us do a few crimes as an intro into those, which randomly pop up all over the game as you play. And yes, there is 2 somewhat annoying and hard trophies tied to stopping crimes. You also do a bounty, which is another open world objective later as well. But all in all, after we do find the man we are after who drives the purple car, and it wasn't James Charles, it was actually Cobblepot, the penguin, if you will. Looking, he kind of looks like my dying grandma's under thigh. I'm not gonna lie, it's rough times. So you then get a fun car chase mission with him trying to shut him down. Now I just made a video on Forza, so this was an absolute breeze because I'm just the best racer of all. Also, the car driving mechanics in this game are very good, even better than Lego 2K Drive, the Lego game that was literally made for car racing. Rest in peace, by the way. Anyways, you then catch the penguin after doing enough damage, and we get a cutscene which shows a direct reference to the Batman movie, which this game does a lot. The amount of perfectly made pop culture references is kind of crazy, and I love it. It was so fun. But yeah, we caught the penguin. He basically folded under pressure right away and gave us all the plans immediately. And we then had to go head to the Iceberg Lounge next to find Falcone, who is who we are after. On the way over, you also get introduced to a Riddler puzzle room for the first time. And yes, the Riddler is back, and good lord. Remember Arkham Knight's Riddler trophies? Yeah, it's like that again today, except, I mean, I guess it's not as bad, but it's definitely not easy. There's many trophies from those, and I am still recovering from the trauma. Anyways, fast forward to the story. Again, we end up at the Iceberg Lounge and we have a giant fight upon getting inside because this is a famous club for criminals and where Falcone runs his operations out of. So the goal the entire time was just to reach his office. However, to get there, we had to go through room after room after room. We even ended up in a bouncy castle area, which, I mean, that's kind of dope. I wish to attain this level of awesomeness in my life, so make sure to drop a like and subscribe right now to support the journey.
Do me a favor, shut the fuck up.
But then Batman and Jim just say to hell with it and make a giant floor drill. So we just kind of drilled through numerous levels of the lounge until dropping into his office. Upon landing, we also had to do a dance battle to prove that we are real lounge goers. All in all, though, we do end up finding Falcone finally, and then he runs away, so there is one more chase scene. We then finally caught him, and thank God, bro, that was like a 40-minute mission. Holy shit. Anyways, after that, there was then a lot of open world tutorials, some Batcave renovations got done, and then I finally made it to another level, and I was like, damn, bro, I haven't got a trophy in a minute. So I looked through that list like a fat kid at a buffet, and I found one that I could get right now from just placing a pin on the map. Easy peasy, and here it is. Anyways, the level I was on had us going to Wayne Tower to meet up with Lucius so we could get some cool tech as Batman always does. Now, while in the lobby, the most direct movie reference of the game happened, and I don't know if I just had a terminally online junior year of high school a few years ago, but there is an American Psycho reference here when Bruce gives his business card to the lady, and I recognized it immediately, and I loved it. It genuinely almost brought tears to my eyes. American Psycho is canon in the universe of Lego Batman. The most unexpected but needed crossover to ever happen. So moving on, we then met up with Lucius. We had to help him power back up his lab, and then we got some new tools. You also then use them in an open world crime event after once more, like they have done multiple times now. But this all leads into the next main story mission, having us investigate the Red Hoods this time. Since we just captured Falcone, somebody else has risen up to control, and it's the Red Hood gang. Also, spoiler, but the leader of them is the Joker, who we will meet very, very soon. But our goal here was to find multiple bears within this place because the Red Hoods are injecting them with chemicals. And the big problem we are trying to solve in today's game, for the most part at least, is the threat of a toxin being released in Gotham. This is the plot for one of the Arkham games as well, so yeah, that's the plot. And we are trying to figure out what this toxin is already. Now during the searching, a huge fight also did happen, and I farmed out a trophy called the Strength to Fight from reaching a combat combo of 99 hits. Now at first when I saw this in the list, I was a little bit worried that this would be a hard trophy, but it's actually very, very easy. I got over 100 combo numerous times naturally at the end of the game anyways, and even right now I got it by just spamming the Batarang, so yeah, here's the trophy pop. So then we made it into the real factory doing this chemical warfare stuff, and we got into a fight right away with a massive enemy. These guys are a bit annoying to fight, but they are more just bullet sponges and they're not really a threat. But then the real level begins, and this is the Ace Chemicals level. It's a very, very long level, and I also had to replay it like 2 times later on for collectibles because they were hidden quite well on this one. But overall, you just kind of move deeper and deeper in the facility. Our goal was to find the mixing machine and destroy it, which is what was powering all of this chemical creation. All in all, we do find it, we do destroy it, but then the entire facility begins to blow up, and we have a very, very long chase section with the Red Hood 1, who is the leader of the Red Hoods. Ultimately, we end up catching him, and then you have to press R2 to grab his hand. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was texting your mother about dinner plans tomorrow, so I just kind of left him hanging there. But he can't actually fall, so yeah, that would have been funny as hell if he did fall, and would you look at that, he falls anyways. That was then the end of chapter 1, and after going to the bat signal and interacting with it, the chapter transition and the trophy popped right here. Now, every time you do finish a chapter in this game, there is 5 total by the way in the game, you have to interact with the bat signal to do so, and after you do, you then get a slight time jump varying in length each time, and during the cutscene something changes or develops for us. This time it was just our own Batman development, and then you end up in the Batcave once more having to do some renovations to the place. During this, I also ended up constructing the challenge board, and after going through and cashing in some rewards, I got 2 trophies from cashing in a challenge for the first time, and then also getting another from collecting 30,000 studs at once, which was, you know, funny, and here it is. So we then began the next story saga, and right away we see Harvey Dent become Two-Face from a key lime pie infection on his face. A very interesting choice of origin story, I love it. But the actual enemy or criminals of this chapter were mimes, which is very funny. I've never seen Batman blow up a car full of mimes, but you pretty much just chase these annoying as hell cosplayers around Gotham, usually ending in them getting evicted from their car, and the final one got taken out by Catwoman, which then transitioned us away from our boy Jim and into Cat Mommy's deep, loving arms. Sorry, Jim, hoes before bros, it's desperate times. And speaking of Cat Mommy, they even made her a tease in the Lego game. Crazy work. So yeah, we then played as Catwoman and Batwoman. Oh, I mean, So yeah, we then played as Catwoman and Batman, and they play together for pretty much all of this chapter. Yes, if you couldn't already tell, each chapter is sort of its own story that ties into the main one overall. We also do play with a different character on each chapter as well. But the goal with Catwoman was to just escape the facility we were in. Her storyline is all very, very puzzle orientated opposed to combat, but also a lot of stealth, and while making it through these enemies, I did my 100th stealth takedown for a trophy called I Am the Shadows. So after performing that, here's the trophy pop. But back to the story. Again, it just had more and more puzzles to go deeper and deeper. This all led to our grand escape, however, which was, you know what? I want you to guess based upon this still frame right here. If you guessed we called upon Jesus of Nazareth to show up on a fairy pony, you are wrong. That's what... What kind of a guess is that? No, we actually just had a concert, and these speakers got so loud that they opened up a wall for us to leave. So here's that trophy after from unlocking Catwoman as a playable character. Anyways, the story then takes us to a zoo, and there was also this little mission before beginning the real level, which had us find a few lost zoo animals for the keepers. And all in all, this unlocks another open world objective, being to find lost zoo animals around Gotham. Yes, I'm being serious, and yes, it was pretty funny seeing Batman wrangle polar bears. But during the level, we just searched for the Penguin the entire time because he is back at being bad once again. Now, finding him took forever, but once we did, the ending of this level was actually very cool. You have a massive boss fight against the Penguin, and it was, or is, probably one of the best fights in a Lego game. All in all, however, we didn't get any trophies from that, and for the next few levels, I didn't really get much accomplished. We do end up fighting the Condiment King, however, so yeah, I mean, it's not saving the earth, but hey, it's honest work. Moving forwards a little bit in the story so I don't go on and on forever here, the Joker ends up revealing himself as a villain now. And remember, this is the same guy that was previously the Red Hood leader, you know, as far as I know. Anyways, the level with him here had us going through and stopping these 3 parade floats from releasing the toxin it had tied into the balloons at the top. So obviously to stop them, we got to get rid of the toxins, and you do this by just disattaching the balloons at the top of the parade floats. After all 3 were gone, there was then a very long fight against the Joker. It was story, however, so you can't really lose it. All in all, he pretty much just ends up falling face first and getting taken to jail. The chapter then ends off, and that is chapter 2 completed with another trophy popping from the story. Now the next chapter, being the 3rd one, is about midway through the game, and it starts off with us still with Catwoman for a little while. You do a mission introduction to the heist missions, which again is another open world objective that we will do many of later on, but then you end up going to a circus with Catwoman, and during it we got picked out of the crowd to be a part of the show. The circus, by the way, is ran by Robin and his parents, I think. So for the next few minutes we play back and forth as Robin and Batman for the first time in this game. Ultimately the circus ends up being thwarted by Two-Face, and long story short, he brought a giant bomb here that we have to defuse or everyone dies a slow, actually probably fast, painful death. Now to defuse the bomb, you pretty much just do more of what we were already doing, climbing up and up and up until reaching it, and then we just grabbed the dynamite inside of it and just tossed it out. I mean, clearly that's the best way to get rid of explosives, I'm sure. There was then some final fights against Two-Face and his goons. During this, I also performed my 100th successful counter for a trophy called Caped Defender, and here it is, popping a very easy trophy, just press triangle. So there was then one more final little parkour section before reaching Two-Face, and after doing that, not much really happens. We stopped the guy and then also saw a funny death for Robin's parents, I think. If they didn't die, I have no idea, just forget what I'm saying. But long story short, this makes us take in Robin as our new sidekick, and we got the trophy from unlocking Robin after that level ends off right here. Back in the Batcave real fast, also got another trophy called Theatrically and Deception from purchasing 3 gadget upgrades. There was tons of upgrades in this game on the gadgets, so 3 is pretty much nothing, but hey, I got it right here. So we then did begin some missions with Robin, and these starter ones were more of us just kind of training him because this is his first time actually fighting crime and not just being a circus boy. But on the drive to the objective, I got a trophy from visiting every district because we are going into the final new one now, so here's that trophy pop. Now the game then made us do a few open world missions, but fast tracking to the main story objective this time, it was related to Poison Ivy. Now she doesn't have a very big part in this game aside from this mission, but she also has an open world mission tied to her that is very long and all over the place. Now like usual in Batman games, Poison Ivy is just going on a rampage, expanding her plans into the city of Gotham. Thankfully this time she doesn't actually do that, unlike in the other Arkham games. Instead we pretty much just went into her lab, killed off all of her plans. It was actually very linear, which was awesome, and then we had a boss fight against her at the end. Now no shade to Poison Ivy, she is a baddie, but her boss fight was the lamest out of any by far, just because as far as I know you can't really punch her or do any combos on her since she kind of just sits on a plant the entire time, so you have to resort to solely using the Batarang, and it just got very tedious doing damage. All in all though, it was a very easy fight. After winning, we captured her. The chapter then ends off after some cutscenes, and here is that chapter 3 trophy pop. So chapter 4 then began, and it was entirely about Batgirl this time, one of the more fun characters of this game because of her hacking abilities and all of that. But the intro mission had us in Batman saving people and escaping a museum that got caught on fire. The assailant this time was Mr. Freeze, by the way. But all in all, not much happens besides story in this place. At the end, we did catch up to Mr. Freeze, but then he also does freeze Jim, so we gotta save Jim now. And I got the trophy from unlocking a Batgirl after that ended off. Now the game then has us in the Batcave for quite a long time. We were trying to solve how to save Jim from being frozen, and all in all, we kind of figure out what to do. We get a hint at least, and then we went back to Gotham to chase down the trace of the chemical that we found. Now while going to the next level here, I also got a trophy after purchasing a skill upgrade in each category, so that's very cool, and here is that. Now our goal was to then go find the chemical we just traced in the Batcave, and it was on a shipment that the bad guys had. So we found them and then had to fight for it, and while battling them, I also fought the last type of enemy that I haven't yet fought in this game. And upon defeating him, I got a trophy from defeating every type of enemy at least once, so here is that. The game then makes us go after a new bad guy, this time named the Black Mask. And pretty much all he did for us was delay our time because nothing really of note happened, aside from getting another part part of the chemical solution to save Jim. So we then have to go meet up with Mr. Freeze once more, because if anybody knows how to unfreeze somebody, it's gonna be him. Now, after making it there and getting a cutscene, I would also get a trophy called I'm Good with Calculator from maintaining max stud combo for 60 seconds. And I have, honest to God, zero clue how this popped here. It just kind of did. But this is referring to the stud meter at the top right just being maxed out. And I wasn't even maxed out when the cutscene began, so I honestly have no clue, but thank you, I guess. But then after that, we do boss fight Mr. Freeze, and this fight was also amazing. The first third of it, you play as Batman and Batgirl. Long story short, Batman gets frozen, at least, you know, mostly, and he is no longer available to fight. So thankfully, Nightwing dropped down to help, and the rest of the fight we did as him and Batgirl. It was very, very fun. This game genuinely does slap, and no, I'm not sponsored. I wish I was, though. It's okay, it's fine.
Oh my god!
Anyways, after that, we won and unlocked Nightwing as our second to last playable character, and another trophy popped. That was also the end of the chapter, and we saved Jim finally, with the chapter 4 trophy popping afterwards. So it was then the final chapter now, and you guessed what this chapter was about. Yup, the Joker. It's officially time to tangle with our sworn enemy, and it opens up with a very long and very fun car chase with us and the Joker. And partway through it, we also got joined by a hot chick in a motorcycle outfit. Now, I said to myself when this happened, I bet that's the shawty from the intro of the game, and I was right, because after we finished the car chase and the Joker was again on his ass, I got a trophy called Out of the Shadows from unlocking Talia as a playable character. Now, this chapter is also very short because it kind of just leads into the ending mission of the game, but you end up going to the jail where the Joker is sent, and of course, it's a setup, so then the villains completely take over the place. We have to fight countless people, including a lot of minor villains in the DC universe. It was a lot of fun. All in all, it ends with us completing chapter 5, getting captured, however, and the trophy then pops. Now, you then begin the final mission called A Shadow Over Gotham, and this one has us playing as Nightfall and Batgirl, because Batman has been put out of commission, to say the least. Now, the level is actually very long because, I mean, it is the finale. It also segues into the final fight against Talia when playing as Batman again, and it was perfect. This game really did do the story so solid this time around. In the past, you know, LEGO games have always been fun, but I mean, let's be real, the story was only so good when the characters, you know, for the most part, didn't talk in them. Long story short, we beat Talia, saved Gotham, it was peak. After the credits rolled, the final trophy from beating the game then popped, so that is stage 1 finished with. Now let us begin stage 2 right away, the trophy cleanup. And there really isn't a goal when starting this stage other than to just go back and either do everything in the open world first, or go back into the levels and clean up collectibles that you missed through the Bat computer, which they so thankfully do tell us directly on screen after finishing the game. Now I chose to go down the route of more of the open world cleanup first because I was kind of burnt out from that story, seeing as I pretty much just played through it all in one sitting. But the first thing I did was just go around the Batcave and buy all of the expansions, and that was a trophy called I Won the Place. So very easy, and after doing that, the trophy then popped. Now I then began the open world cleanup, and this has a lot of trophies tied to it, but they are also very, very spread out. You for the most part just do the same like 5 activities over and over, and there is hundreds of them. I think in total there's over 500 collectibles we need to get, whether it's the red bricks, the Wayne Tech caches, the Bat trophies, etc. It's very long. I spent the large majority of the 27 hours I played this game solely doing this. So yeah, if you plan to platinum this game, just be ready to explore Gotham, I guess. Anyways, during this, the first trophy I would get was from just gathering 1 million studs. And you don't need to have them all at once, they are cumulative, so you'll love to see it. Now again, while just going through the many open world objectives, I also got another trophy at random. In this one, I also have no idea how I got it here, but it was from purchasing 3 vehicles in the Batcave. However, I was not in the Batcave, and it just kind of popped. Not complaining, yeah, maybe we need some slight bug fixes, but hey, nothing stopped me from this platinum, thankfully, unlike some other unfortunate individuals out there. Now, I then did this cleaning up for a while longer without much happening, but ultimately, once I returned to the Batcave, I managed to farm out multiple trophies. First, from just placing 5 props or trophies in the Batcave. There is numerous areas to do this where you can build and just cycle to the trophy section and then place 5 random ones down. It does not matter, the trophy will pop. I then just bought 5 items from the shop, which you will need to do no matter what, because this is where you can buy some clothing items, some red bricks, and some vehicles, which all have trophies later on. Speaking of red bricks, I then used my first one after for another trophy. Now, unfortunately, this game did take away the crazy red bricks that were a classic staple of LEGO games, and now they just change your outfit colors. That's, you know, a little bit sad. They also did take away True Hero on levels, which is another classic that is now gone, so yeah, that kind of sucks, but hey, the game is still insanely fun. Anyways, I then got 2 more trophies here. First, from just rolling the camera 120 degrees in photo mode, and then from just changing the screensaver on the back computer. Both very, very easy trophies. After heading back into Gotham, I also discovered a life changer right away: the radio towers. In every district of this game's open world, there is a tower that once climbing and hacking will reveal every collectible in the district. I somehow did not know this and was previously doing them all just by hand when running into them. So yeah, this changed my life pretty much, and also got me over 100 discovered events for Detroit Pop right here. I then got a trophy from finally completing one of many open world activities in total, being the fast travel trophy from unlocking all of the fast travel points. Now there is 9 of these, I believe, and they are just subway entrances around the game. You have to do a puzzle to open them up, and some of them are pretty hard, but all in all, nothing crazy. Here's the trophy popping. I then got 2 back-to-back collective trophies. First from getting 5 gold medals in AR trials. Yes, AR trials are back, but don't fret, they are nowhere even close to as hard as they were in the Arkham games. But after that trophy popped, I got another from just gliding in 10 different wind tunnels. Again, very easy, and there is far more than 10, so not a hard trophy whatsoever. After a few more minutes of farming, I then headed to the Batcave once again, and I bought all of the gadget upgrades on Batman because I had a lot of those points now. And after doing so, I got another trophy called Wonderful Toys from purchasing all upgrades for a single character. Now after all of those trophies, I did enter the purgatory stage of the cleanup, and I would go hours at a time without really anything happening, just kind of going through the motions of the classic LEGO game cleanup. And I would be lying to myself if I said after doing this so much back in the day it made it easier, but it didn't. Yeah, no, it was still quite a grind. But I did end up getting a trophy eventually from completing 20 challenges. Now you should get this while playing naturally, but if you don't, you can always just view them and farm out any you need for the 20 and the trophy to pop. Again, almost 2 hours later, I then did end up going back into the levels I didn't complete fully. And I did good on most of them, but there was a handful that I just sucked complete wiener on. But ultimately, once going through all of them, I got everything I needed, and I found all the red bricks, and that trophy popped finally. And then I also finally managed to get my last Batcave trophy that I needed, which was gotten by finding the final mini kit in the Batcave from fishing it up. I could have really used the collectible detector on this one, but it's okay. I then spent 5 more hours straight grinding collectibles, eventually detouring away from just doing everything to doing certain collectibles, and I picked the Wayne Tech caches as the first one to finish off completely. There was 200 of these total. None of them are really that hard to get. A few, like a short few, are very confusing with their location, but as long as you either drive around the area at large or just get lucky, you should be able to find them all. I found the last one right here, and then the trophy popped, thankfully. About an hour after that, while still doing more collectibles, I ended up preventing 30 crimes total finally for another easy trophy pop, and the next trophy I got was from unlocking all of the suits of the game. And the final suit I needed was the one you get from completing all of the Riddler and puzzle rooms. Yes, the Riddler puzzles are back, but the Clue Master is also here. So not only did I have to do every Riddler puzzle, I also had to do every single Clue Master puzzle. And the two of them are basically the same. The Riddler tends to be a tad harder. Before the final puzzle with them both, they actually teamed up. And the final few puzzles also, they really weren't that bad. These are nowhere near as hard as the Arkham ones. There was still, well over 100, so not an easy task, but overall it wasn't awful. Long story short, we stopped them. It was hilarious, and then I got the final suit getting that trophy, and also the trophy from completing every single puzzle room as well. Thank God I'm done with those. Now another hour passed, and then I completed every single side activity in Gotham. The remaining ones I had were mostly just AR challenges, and my final activity was actually a plant stopping one, so yeah, there's that trophy finally popping. Now that wasn't 100% completion quite yet, because I did have to go back and buy all of the vehicles. I also unlocked all of my skill upgrades right after, so here's that trophy popping as well. But I then did buy all of the vehicles, which I only needed like one more anyway, so here's that trophy pop. And then the all collectible trophy popped after from 100% completion on the game. I now only have 2 trophies remaining, collecting 25 bat symbols and preventing each crime in Gotham once. Now both of these are honestly pretty dumb trophies. The bat symbols are far more stupid because they are a collectible in the game, pretty much no purpose in the game statistics except for an Easter egg, I believe, from getting them all. They also aren't marked on the map, and they don't get detected when flying by and using the bat pulse. And furthermore, they aren't really needed to be collected for anything besides this trophy from just getting 25 of them, which is only half of the total 50. But finding them thankfully isn't as bad as you would expect. If you just fly around Gotham slowly and look closely, you'll see these all over the place because they are pretty much just like large coins essentially. They kind of look like studs, just a lot bigger and more important. But just grabbing 25 will get you the trophy, and then you will never have to grab another again. So here's that trophy pop. Now my final trophy in the game was also a bit annoying, called Things Have Improved. It's from stopping every type of crime in Gotham at least once. Now, there isn't that many types of crimes, but some do have special enemy types tied to them. And my best guess as to how I didn't have this yet after doing over 40 crimes throughout the game was because the final district we unlocked, I really didn't stop many crimes there. So I just kind of went there and drove around and I did every crime I saw pop up until the trophy did just kind of pop at random. It only took like 10 minutes, so that's dope. And here's that platinum trophy pop on Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. So that was the Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight platinum trophy experience. I genuinely have not played a game to platinum and had this much fun in a hot minute. This is by far my new favorite Lego game. Literally everything was perfect in it. The only thing I think was kind of lacking was the Lego game like OG feel. They did a ton of great changes and updates to the format, but man, I do miss those red bricks that just did random shit that caused chaos, etc. And getting True Hero on every level was always so fun, but you know what? I guess it's time for a new era. I love this game. Peak out of 10, and that's all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.